Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are TwinFinity. I have on my infinity decals, and it is Halloween, so I can kind of wear whatever I want.
And I am wearing my love onesie. So that makes us together
Infinite love.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
We got props. We don't have candy. We don't have any candy for Halloween.
We should have brought down your little snacks I bought you.
Oh, I know. I just thought of that just as we got started, but no, that's okay. No candy.
That's okay.
But I'm going to have a very clean leg because the dog is giving my leg a bath.
Yes, because we're back inside for videos because now it's a little too cold to be doing question and answer videos outside.
Yeah, the end of October, no, not the best. No, it's chilly outside.
Yes. So happy Halloween! We are here to celebrate Halloween with you with a question and answer video.
Yes, since we don't really have the chance to do Halloween with a bunch of other people because this is not the bunch of other people here.
No, it's not.
We text a few of our friends, and that's about all we can do because, you're just not getting together with people. And it's just probably not going to be a whole lot of Halloween activity anyway. Yeah. So we get to celebrate Halloween in our video with you folks.
Yay! With infinite love.
Yay.
And I just have to do a shout out to one of my dear soul sisters. We have not met in person, but we often threat when we finally get to meet in person, we're going to have a onesie party. I got my onesie, I'm ready. It's not a unicorn onesie like we always talk about, but it's close enough.
I think I'll go out camping that day. Anyway.
Shall we dive into questions?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I haven't even read the first sentence of this question. I say that all the time.
Yes, you do.
What can the other twin do when the pain is so unbearable and your head hurts like it's going to explode and you feel like you just want to run off the planet? The question isn't near that short, but that's actually a good place to stop. But let's continue on.
Let's.
When you try everything and nothing works, that person is constantly with you, in you, and you can't escape. You can barely function. That would be true.
Yeah, welcome to the twin flame journey.
You just cry and cry. And you feel like you're going insane and nobody around you can help or understand you. Yes, this is a very individualistic journey. Not everybody gets this. Only that one person does, who is so very scared and wounded, therefore running from you, but loves you deeply at the same time. I can understand why he runs. I can feel his pain, and it kills me that I can't help him. I know they say that you have to surrender and let go. True, in most cases. But it seems impossible when everything reminds you of your twin, and you are so alike in every way. Your traits, your habits, etc. I think that etc. would be things like telepathy.
Yes.
And things like what we call TF moments that just keep on happening. What is it that I'm not understanding? Well, you seem to actually have a very good grip on this journey, and I hate to say it that way, but most other people would say, yeah, that's basically what it's all about. So the question is, why does it seem like so much of a struggle? Why is it so painful? Why when it connects so well, does it not ultimately connect easily with union? And why does it seem to just cripple a person so much? It is because it is so much a corner of your soul, a very big corner of your soul, that is involved with this. This isn't just a passing emotion like happiness or sadness from something that happens around you. This is truly something that rocks you to your core. And it does hurt when you're missing that person because it's not just your thoughts. It is your core that's missing them. So that's why you can barely function. That's why you cry. And not everybody is going to understand this, because really very few people to that depth actually have a journey like that. The majority of people have a have a journey where they can make choices, and yes, things hurt, but you can get over it and past it and beyond it. And that is the hard part with the twin flame journey, is there's no really getting beyond it. It stays with you. It's not something you can just walk away from. It's because it's part of you. And so it's not something you can get over. You must deal and adapt and nurture with it. And let it be, and let it grow, but let go of trying to actually control it or manipulate it. It's going to find its home in you. You're not going to be able to tell it how to live in you.
Yes.
It's going to find its own way, and it's very hard to steer it.
Yes. Now, I wanted to just look at that because I interpreted the question very differently, and I'm glad you answered it the way you did, because then we can give different perspectives. How I kind of understood this is they can feel everything about their twin.
Yes.
To the point that they're like, what do I do with this? And how do I manage it?
And how do you help your twin?
Right.
When you can see their agony, but they can't really see their agony.
Right.
They don't understand it.
And you're feeling it. Even though you might be okay, you're feeling their stuff.
Yes.
And you don't know what to do. You don't know how to manage it. You don't know what to do for them.
It's their journey too.
Right. And so, but you're feeling it to the point that you're crying, you're emotional, you're thinking of them nonstop. So some of the suggestions, and of course, opposite to Rob, I like to pre-read the questions and then I write little notes as they come to me. So
yes, there is notes.
I have some notes in the corner as I usually have.
And I don't even read the notes. I still haven't read her notes.
That's funny. I thought you would have. Okay.
No, haven't. That's her answer.
So a couple things I would suggest to help you and to help your twin is do some energy work around this. This could just be you doing it yourself. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily go to another practitioner like a Reiki practitioner or a healer of any type. You can, certainly. That's, if you want to. But just even yourself, clear your energy. Clear your chakras. And I have a video out. I can maybe even link it if I remember to do that. How to clear your chakras. You can even, what's the word? Salt baths. That can help clear your energy. So just get centered again. Get grounded even. Practice grounding techniques. A really good one is being outside, which is one of the reasons we like to do our videos outside. It's very grounding. We spend a ton of time outside. We're nature people, and it really helps with healing yourself and your twin. So this whole journey, right, is about energy. We're connected on an energetic and soul level. So the more you can balance your energy and stay centered, the more you will then stop feeling their stuff so intensely. And even if you are feeling it, it'll help you manage it so you're not so overwhelmed by it that you're crying all the time and thinking of them all the time and feeling so emotional. You can just think of them and know that, okay, they'll be okay. Which brings me to the third suggestion is remember, and I often say this, is remember the higher perspective of this journey. Remember who they really are. They're not just a human who's struggling in pain. They're not a victim. They are an eternal soul being. They have chosen this path just as much as you have, even though they might not consciously remember it yet, because often one of the twins is the matrix twin, and their journey is more to be, the human grounded one that's not so much remembering the spiritual aspect of it. And they don't need to remember that at this point. But if you can hold space for them in that way, remember who they are, and instead of feeling their pain and going, oh my God, how are they ever going to get through this? And they're struggling, is, like I say, hold space for them by holding them up And you can even talk to them telepathically. Remind them you are an eternal soul being. You have all the power within you to heal whatever you're struggling with. Just guide them mentally, emotionally through telepathy. Even if you're thinking they're not hearing it, they're getting it on some level. Rob was never consciously aware of the telepathy when I was doing telepathy before we were together, but you got it. He would tell me things and I knew they were real, and then, later when we were in union, he would confirm that, yeah, that's what I was going through, that's what was going on. So yes, you feel them, yes, you're connected and you're going to feel things, but it doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to be such a deep emotional struggle when you learn how to clear your energy, balance your energy, remember who you are, remember who they are, remember why you're here, what your connection is really about, and practice those tools on a regular basis.
Now, I'd also like to twist this
I'm
around.
going to give you that so I can take a dog, because
the dog is going crazy.
Yeah, Cookie doesn't have an outfit. I actually was going to put something on her, but I thought Rob would be like, oh my gosh. She has a shirt that says Angel.
Oftentimes, we forget that energy feeds upon itself. And the reason that I ask people to be calm and try to accept and try to have patience is we often get stuck in what we feel. And what we often forget is that we're also sending feelings back to our twin.
Yes.
So if you are feeling and trying to manage, and you're distraught and distressed over what you're feeling, you're also sending back that distraughtness and that distressedness back to your twin.
Excellent point. Yes.
So they then get back what they're feeling, and then it just ends up bouncing back and forth, feeding on both of you. So if you can get to a point of greater calmness, they might actually start to feel what they would interpret to be peace in the universe. But what they're actually feeling is your energy, your more peaceful energy, coming back at them. And then they would be able to see the contrast in what they're feeling versus what they interpret that they're feeling, and understand that maybe they are feeling more harsh than they need to. Their environment is nicer, but they're feeling rough. So therefore, they would want to feel better, as opposed to being focused on what they're actually feeling from you as you're bouncing back their stuff. So someone's got to stop that ping pong ball from bouncing back and forth.
That's a good
or
visual.
at least shrink it down.
Right.
So that in and amongst those energies flowing back and forth, there is a signal of peacefulness, of calm, of understanding, of hope, of happiness embedded in that, so that they have something else to feel.
Yes. Excellent.
Oh, wow. Next question.
Okay.
Were you done with that question?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of like that question.
That was a great question.
I could keep going on
I
that
think
one
that's
for
a
half
very
an hour.
relatable question for a lot of people.
The next question is another energy question. It's, how do we keep our energies, intentions, and choices balanced as light workers during this strange and confusing time? Yes, this would be Halloween of 2020.
Good question for this time. Not Halloween time, but everything we're going through as a global community of all the shifts and
especially when many on the light path are also drawn to the truther path and wanting to peacefully challenge the mainstream narrative, but encounter so much opposition in their 3D community networks to the point of being totally dismissed and many times bullied. That's very interesting. I barely empathize with that. I haven't had that much of a struggle. I'm going to stop the question right there. When I have stepped out just a little bit and have maybe told people that I am involved in the New Age spiritual community, which is a nice little veil without getting too specific, I have perceived that I've been very seldomly harshly judged for that. But also, when I say that, I also walk away from that unless somebody wants to walk right into it, and then I can go a little bit deeper. But I find that I'm not judged harshly in my circles, and most of my circles would be at work. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm very, very careful with it too. Okay, how about we continue on with the question? Also, when what is being called a conspiracy is actually readily verified on official information sources, which we can keep nameless for this video, yeah. What do we do, and what is the best way to proceed? I made one post on my social media that got a lot of opposition and ended up with a 3-day migraine.
Welcome to being sensitive, yeah.
How do we navigate this as sensitive souls?
Yes.
Some of us, while being so sensitive, do feel like we want to do something, like make a post, attend a march, politically engage, etc. And are not only sensitive, but have real 3D concerns about being judged or even losing their job. How do we manage?
So just first to clarify, this question is branching out past just twin flame stuff, and it's, about all the controversy going on in our world, whether it's political, whether it's conspiracy theories, whether it's COVID. A lot of people now are speaking out. And
sure, they're saying that all that's going on with social reform and COVID is all part of a greater picture of awakening.
Mm-hmm.
But just try saying that in public. Oh, no, don't worry about this. This is just the next step in the evolution. You'll love it when it's over. Yeah, no, people are going to right away write you off as a little bit of a whack nut. So,
they can.
But I think you also have to be well aware of where your audience is at. There's no point in hiring in a top comedian to talk about nuclear physics, because a top comedian isn't going to have what they need to talk to people who are interested in nuclear physics.
Fair enough, yes.
And most people who are highly versed in nuclear physics aren't much for being comedians. They tend to be a little more on the straight and possibly nerdy side, just to pull out that stereotype for the fun of it. So really, I think it's more about the audience than yourself. And if you have a open and responsive and possibly even more advanced audience, you can broach these topics and you'll find a lot more openness to them, because there are a lot of people who actually, without understanding what the big picture looks like or where it could be going, they understand that there is likely a big picture out there, and they'd be willing to hear what a person has to say, at least in regards to why is all this important to humanity. People do care about humanity. We care enough about humanity to at least try to do things like help out the planet by not putting quite so much plastic out there. We are concerned about things as much as we sometimes get all focused on our 3D lives of getting ahead, keeping up with the Joneses and finding jobs and being all distracted that way. Most people do believe in a higher purpose, or at least a higher being that we're either serving or being guided for. So yes, it's the audience,
right there,
not what you know.
Sorry, I have to entertain the dog. She's looking everywhere for a ball, and it's like right there.
Yeah. Isn't that neat? The dog can lose the ball even though the ball's right in front of it. Sometimes we lose our focus that way too. What we're looking for is right in front of us, and we're looking everywhere else for it. We're looking too deep, looking too far, instead of just staying right where it's at. So how do we keep our energies and intentions and choices balanced? The choices are knowing your audience. Your energies are how you interact with your own world. And intentions are purpose. I'm kind of running away with this question.
I see that. I'm busy entertaining the dog, so you go ahead. I'll put in my own 2 cents.
So between energies, which are balance, intentions, which are purpose, and choices, which is audience, that gives you 3 aspects, almost like being up on a stage and knowing that you're on the right stage with the right audience, with the right message. There are people out there
You're not going outside.
who will be part of that triangle.
You're just outside. Okay, so I, being highly sensitive myself, have some thoughts about all of this. So again, the question is, how do we keep our energies, intentions, and choices balanced as light workers during these times, especially when we do want to, like she's saying, speak out or make a post, attend a march, a political engagement or something. We don't want to just hide in our corner and say, oh God, I can't say anything because it'll overwhelm me and I'll feel bullied or whatever. So like Rob said, I think it's very important to, first to know your audience. I'm very selective what I share with what people. For example, just, our twin flame stuff. I don't post a lot of twin flame stuff on my personal Facebook page. Not at all that I'm worried about getting judged or criticized. I just know most of my audience isn't there. It's family, it's friends. Sure, there's lots of you twin flame people too that are connected there. But I have a specific platform for that, which is our TwinFinity page. So it's knowing what to share with what people to know that who's going to be receptive and who's not. And if you're wanting to just share blankly with everybody, that's where you have to maybe develop a little bit of a tough skin and know that not everybody is going to agree with you. And not everybody, unfortunately, is at a high enough level yet to be able to disagree in a respectful way. There are lots of people out there right now, even spiritual people, on social media, really just so intense, causing a lot of disruption and a lot of diversity and a lot of splitting of energies. And that also has its purpose when you understand what, the higher intention of everything is we need to have all the polarity. It's just like the twin flame journey. You got to have the right side, the left side before you can come to the middle ground. So it's understanding that don't take it personally. It's not about you. When somebody comes back and starts attacking you for something you've spoken, if you can, instead of absorbing it as a highly sensitive person, what I tend to do is put kind of like a shield of energy up, and then with my intention, I make that shield where only energies that resonate with me are allowed into the shield, and anything else bounces back to the person that has given it to me. So that way they can then see it or feel it back themselves. Because oftentimes the people that are bullying, the people that are saying something mean or hurtful or judgmental, it's their stuff. And it's their own shadow that they're not able to look at yet. So if it's reflected back to them, either, physically in your own words or just energetically, that's for them to own. You don't have to own that. And that's part of learning how to be a balanced empath, is not owning everything. We're always going to have people disagree with us and say things. I mean, luckily we get very few trolls and very few offensive things on our twin flame page, but we've definitely had some, and we're able to just brush it off and go, okay, that's their stuff. We don't need to own it because it's not ours. So if that's helpful, just be able to read what somebody says with your sort of energetic shield up and go, not mine. I don't need to own this. So that migraine, now in the future, you might not even need to have a migraine because you can go, not my stuff. I don't need to take that in. And that's the practice of being an empath. I've had to do a lot of empath practice because, as you all know, I am one too.
Empaths need to be very careful with their energy, but also empaths tend to be very passionate about what they do. One of the bigger things that empaths get stuck in sometimes is the thought that they try to do everything themselves. If you have something that you want to say, and you can put it out there on a very soft sell. In other words, very gently present a concept that if people have a curiosity towards it, that they come back to you. If you can have a conversation with 10 people on any topic, let alone something as, I'll say, delicate as a spiritual concept on why things are happening in the world the way that they are today. If you can have a conceptual talk with 10 people, first of all, that's a lot of people to be influencing. That's a lot of people to be sharing energy with. That's usually enough for any one person who's an empath. But also remember that those people are also going to have their own contacts, and your conversation is going to go beyond them. Let those people do some of the work too. Share the workload. You don't have to do it all yourself.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they will. Like, you tell 10 people, they'll tell 10 people each, and the words and the message will still get out there to those who have some benefit of hearing it. So yeah, you don't have to do it all yourself. You
Right.
don't have to overload your energies all by trying to take on everybody else's energy to pass on a message.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that reminded me of another thought that I had. This is why I normally put notes in the corner. Is, yes, empaths, we think we're here to save the whole world. And really, it's not a responsibility to save anybody. So you can share your opinion and let people have their own opinion, let them have their own beliefs, and carry on with your life and let them carry on with theirs. So often, so many people, especially right now on social media, are out there trying to change everybody's perspective and come to my side, see it my way. Whereas, you know what, if we could just all honor everybody else and let them have their own opinion while we have ours, because really, again, when you look at the higher perspective, we're all going to the same place, whether we come from the left side or the right side. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. You're all going to the top of the mountain. It's just how you get there. Everybody's got a different path, but there's no wrong path. There's no one path that's better or worse. There might be some paths that are harder. There's some paths that are easier, but we're all going to the same place. So learn to just honor where other people are at. And even if they come back with you offensively, that's again part of the practice of speaking up and learning as an empath, because we often need to work on our voice and speaking what we, are feeling. So it might be about coming back in a respectful way to them and saying, I thank you for your opinion. However, I honor where you're at, but please also honor where I'm at. And just see if you can come to a happy medium there. And you're not going to be able to please everybody. That's, again, part of life. There's just no way your opinion is going to match up with everybody else's.
Hence why it's important, I believe, to put an idea out there and then let the like-minded individuals come back and find you. It's a lot of work to go out there and try to convince the world to change. But the world, in many cases, many people out there in the world want to change in their own direction. So there's no point in trying to change people who want to go from letter A to letter F when you're trying to send a message that says to go from letter A to letter J. You need to find the people that want to go to letter J and work with them and have a little fun helping them along common journeys. Again, it's not about creating your audience. It's about finding your audience.
Yeah. This is a topic, this is such a great question. This is a topic I would love to do a video on sometime. I honestly have like a whole list of videos I would love to do, and it's just a matter of time.
It's very important to be yourself, too. To stay true to yourself. Absolutely believe in your cause and not worry about the judgment. For example, Angie and I, doing our question and answer videos and our story videos and any of the other videos that we've done, there's lots of different options for what people can watch for videos out there. Some people choose to watch and relate to us. And just by staying where we are within ourselves, it is very important to stay there because we're not trying to bend ourselves to a genre or to a specific group. We are being ourselves to the people who need to hear what we have to say. It's simple but difficult because it's also about trust as well. You got to trust that what you have to say is important to somebody. So again, it's that audience. Sometimes the audience chooses you.
Yeah. Hopefully that's helpful. But definitely so honor your journey to be out there and speak, because I know as an empath it can be challenging at first until you really learn how to manage your empathic abilities. And just side tangent, a book that I highly recommend for everybody who's empathic is of course now I'm going to forget it. I think it's the Empath Guide. Do you know what it is?
The Empath Survival Guide or Empath's Guide to Survival?
See, this man pays attention. He's not even read this book. I've read this book cover to cover, and he knows the title and I don't. You're amazing. Oh, thank you.
We all have our gifts, and I've chosen to be with someone who's highly empathic and medium-like, and therefore I have to, I feel if I'm going to relate, I have to learn.
And he pays attention. So the Empath Survival Guide. Yes, very, very good book. In fact, it was one of you gracious people who mailed that book to me a couple, year ago. That book is amazing. Highly recommend everybody empathic read it because there's so many tools. Again, that's a video I would love to do sometime and just go through some of the tools because very, very helpful. So yeah, that's just a little side tangent.
Can I go rescue the dog?
Yeah.
I will be back. We've got a very low coffee table. As in, the top of it's great, but the bottom of it's a big flat platform. And our dog has just lost her ball under this platform and she can't reach it. She's scratching and panicking over there because she knows her ball's under there somewhere, but she can't reach it.
Do you want to rescue the dog or do you want to read the question?
You can read the next question.
Okay, I'm getting warm. I gotta undo a little bit here. I was so cold before. I'm not going that far. Don't worry. We're sitting by our fireplace, and I'm in like my big furry onesie. Okay, next question. A while back, I went through about a week of my libido being absolutely insatiable. It's always been healthy, but this was just insane. Toward the end of the week-long period of non-stop arousal, my twin shared on his wall that he had been reading a book on sacred sexuality. Ha! How cool is that? That blew my mind, and I have wanted to know, but we do not discuss anything regarding romantic aspects of our connection. So I decided to test it, and I finally got the opportunity. Something he had said kicked on my libido, and I thought it was the perfect time. So anyway, she just goes on to say that she did get her confirmation that he validated, that they were connected in that way. So she says, I'm just curious, have you ever heard of or gotten validation that one twin can feel the sexual activity that is physically taking place in another? And I'm going to straight away answer yes. Lots of people experience this. Maybe not, I've not heard it this way necessarily, but I know lots of people experience or can feel when their twin is being intimate with somebody else, which I am so grateful I never got to experience that. Luckily, as a highly sensitive person, that never came through because I wouldn't want to experience that because I know a lot of people have said that's really painful, and it kind of would be. It
would be disturbing if you knew even some of the times as opposed to even all of the times.
Totally.
Yeah, that's it would feel like cheating, even though rationally you know that you don't have a situation of cheating, but it would still feel like that. The betrayal.
The betrayal.
The betrayal is the right word.
Yeah. But in this sense, that is so cool how she's just like feeling insatiable and discovers later her twin is reading a book on sacred sexuality. So cool. I love that.
There's so many different ways to get confirmation that connections
Totally.
that connections happen.
Yeah.
And we have heard from other people so many different stories of how connections are validated. We just call them TF moments in our world.
Yes.
Between us.
And we just had one today. We haven't had one in a while. In the way we feel them or experience them.
We still do quite often. I think our TF moments, for a while, they were more than once a day. Now they drift around, I'd say 5 times a week, maybe even still an average of once a day, because sometimes there's 2 or 3 in one day.
Yeah, true.
So they're still there, and I'm way beyond questioning that there's connections that you can feel with your twin. We've heard so many other people talk about it, and we've had them ourselves to the point.
We have a really rowdy dog tonight. I'm not sure what her problem is.
I'm sitting here in bare feet, and the dog is going, "Pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me." She's scratching at my foot, and I'm having a hard time not going, "Ouch."
It's Halloween
Ouch.
and a full moon, and she's restless.
Yes.
Yes.
And she also knows when we're doing videos. She understands this bit. We're paying attention to something over there and we're talking to someone. And well, that's what she thinks.
Yeah.
She thinks that she's missing out. So she does anything she can to get attention. I don't think I need any Band-Aids for these scratches. If this was a cat, I'd be scratched all to pieces.
Anyway, back to the question.
Oh, yes,
it's just such cool validation, and I'm sure many people could affirm on many different levels, whether it's, feeling your twin sexually, feeling them emotionally, much like the very first question, feeling when they're struggling, and then you're struggling because you can feel their struggle.
Feeling times of when you just feel like you must contact them because they're probably feeling the same thing of either wanting to contact you or wanting you to contact them. When those feelings come along, chances are it's not just by accident and not just your own starting of that feeling.
Totally. And sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, people have even experienced, they have a taste in their mouth and they're like, I didn't eat that sort of flavor, and they find out later their twin was eating that. Whether it's garlic or pizza or who knows, anything, right? There's just. Here's a good one. We've shared this in videos before. I don't drink alcohol. Rob
once
still
in a while
drinks alcohol once in a while. He just had some alcohol last night. I was the one feeling it. I was all like tipsy and woozy, and we were joking that, it's like I get the
I have the drink, she walks into the wall.
Totally. Some people will know when their twin is physically unwell, like maybe they have a headache or something because you have a headache and they're like, I don't get headaches, so there's all sorts of different ways that we are connected. Again, you're the same energy, right? You're the same essence. So yeah, you're going to feel them in more unique ways than you've ever connected with anybody, and definitely sexually, because when you think of what the sexual connection is, it's the most deep, intimate part of you because it's the most vulnerable. So you're definitely going to feel each other that way.
Yeah.
Totally cool, though, that she got validation. I love that. Very neat. Well, now you're getting a foot wash.
Now I'm getting a foot wash again. At least it doesn't tickle. A cat's tongue tickles. This is just wet. We have a dog.
Glad Cookie can be back to entertain you. It's been a while since she's been in a video.
And we've refused to lock her away. That wouldn't be nice. I've thought of that. No. Oh, poor dog. Okay.
Now you're going to get all this hate mail from people going, you can't lock your dog away.
No. Like I said, we've thought of it, but we've never done it.
I know. Teasing you. Okay. Carry on.
Next question. Is there any sense of failure or karma created if twins do not make it full circle?
That's an interesting question. And I wrote some notes and I forget what they are already, but I'll let you go first.
Is there any sense of failure or karma created if twins do not make it full circle? Only if someone's to harshly judge themselves. See, karma is something you literally bring upon yourself.
Okay.
Other people may be able to cast a spell on you, but karma is often self-created. So if you don't harshly judge yourself for a perception, in most cases inaccurate perception of failure, because these journeys just take a break whether you want them to or not. A lot of people, when your journey takes a break from what you consider to be progress, a lot of people automatically take that stopping as failure. There is such a thing as a pause button. So if you don't treat every time you stop as a failure, if you just treat it as a pause, a chance to springboard in a different direction, then you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to create any karma by negatively judging your own pause.
It's interesting. That's why I like doing question and answer videos together. Why I won't say never, but I don't like doing them alone. I wouldn't probably do them alone because we have totally different, sometimes interpretations of the questions, but then totally different perspectives too.
Yeah.
So your interpretation was different than mine, but it was still very valid because a lot of people, never mind a lot of people, the journey requires that we start and stop. You get together with your twin and you think, okay, this is it, we're together, we're in union. And then like a week later, you're split up again. Welcome to the journey. It's just the way it goes. But how I more interpret it was that if you never get to union, because they're saying, how did they say it? She's considering a relationship with someone else since her twin is with another and not available. So that's interesting. This sounds like it's somebody that knows both of these people.
Yes.
And is saying, like, what if they don't get together? What if they don't end up in union? So my perspective of that, and what did my notes say? Oh, yes, there's that perspective. I'm going to bring a different one first. My perspective is, number one, your soul, your one soul in two bodies came with its own intentions. And because this is a lifetime that we're on a mass awakening. We're not just like some of us are awakening. Humanity is awakening because we're here for the bigger perspective of ascension. So we've had many lifetimes where we've had intentions of, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And then you come down to earth and you forget how hard it is and you just forget all your plans. And that's why we create karma, because we intend something and then we don't do it. So then we may harm somebody that we weren't supposed to harm. So then we come back so we can play the other role to get, the experience of the other side of things. But this lifetime is very different. Our souls came with very, very deep intention that we're doing what we said we were going to do. If we said we were going to be in union, we are darn well going to be in union. It's happening. So that's why I always tell people, you can't fail. And that takes so much pressure off of it because your twin will remember whether it looks like they will or not. And he's a perfect example. I don't mean to say this in offense at all because it's not meant that way, but he wasn't remembering for the longest time. And I was told this right from the beginning of our connection over 20 years ago. You're going to be in union. That's the word my angels used, the word union. And we had a mission and we had all this work to do. And I was like, but he doesn't know this. And now we're broken up and now he's dating somebody else. How is this ever going to happen? Well, it happened because his soul remembered. And it remembered when it was supposed to. Because you needed to go through the other relationships, as did I.
I still needed the growth.
Totally. So these people, don't worry. Their soul is in control. Even if it looks like the ego is in control and they're like, no, forget that other person. I don't want to be with them. I'm going to go date this other person. That's because their soul knows they have a journey with that other person. They have karma to clear with that other person. They have lessons to learn with that other person. That person's in their life for a reason. And when it's time for their twin to be in their life, there is nothing you can do. If you know our story, we went through hell and back to be together, But our souls were like, we don't care what hell we have to go through. We'll do anything to be together. The pull was so strong for us to be together that it didn't matter if our exes were ganging up on us. It didn't matter if we had lawsuits. It didn't matter if we had to call the police I don't know how many times out of fear of stuff going on. We were ready to be together, and there was nothing that was going to pull us apart. So the soul has its own mission, and the soul is not here to fail.
I can't really add to that. I had my bit at the beginning, and you had your bit there, and I like your perspective too. This is always amazing. I don't think we will ever pre-read questions together.
No, it's better this way.
It's almost like you get two answers.
You get the masculine and the feminine perspective. See?
That could be it.
Totally.
Or a 3D versus 5D.
That too. See, you get all sorts of perspectives.
Oh.
I'm going to add one last piece.
Okay.
Just a quick.
And chances are it's going to trigger me to another spiel.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Why the soul can't fail this time is because we're not just here to be in union with our twin. What if you remember what the whole big purpose is? We're here to help with the ascension process. So if our twin came to be in union and our soul came for the purpose of union to help with the ascension, that's what we'll do. And if we only came with the intention of awakening each other, for example, some twins didn't come with the intention of union. If you feel a desire, if you feel this strong desire for union within you, then it is my belief that that's what your soul's intention was, because you wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't part of the plan. But again, the bigger perspective is we're here to help with the ascension process. So it's not about just being romantically together with your twin and having infinite love. Sure, you can have that and it's fun, but it's really about when your soul joins back again, those two flames, that twin flame ignites and creates another light in the whole realm of the earth, right? So we're here to literally be portals of light all over the earth to literally raise the vibration of earth. So your soul is not going to fail at ascension.
A sense of failure is a very three-dimensional feeling. It's a form of loss. It's almost like a lack of control. Because if you had complete control, you would succeed. You'd find a way. So a sense of failure is almost, it's a self-directed thing. It's directed back at oneself. And, sometimes when a person fails, they have to take responsibility for it. But when you've tried your best and you've got failure in front of you, it's sometimes hard not to go there. And that falls into the grieving process. And, being human, being on this planet, being three-dimensional, I think sometimes having a sense of failure is just part of the natural process. And when failure really matters, it's often a deep learning process for the soul to have. So to have a sense of failure is actually a learning process. Learning how to accept failure for what it is, not for what it lost.
And also, like they're saying, is it creating more karma? No, because you're here to clear karma, not create more karma. So just trust your soul. It knows what it's doing. For a one-sentence question, we had a long answer. Sorry. Got off on a tangent there.
Yeah, one sentence or 7-sentence questions. They all have a point of view. They all do, and they're all meant to, for us, trigger. Is that a word? Trigger a response.
I just think that's such a powerful question because so many people fear that, what if my twin doesn't wake up? What if we don't get to union? Oh my God, what am I going to do? And I always tell people, don't worry. You can't fail.
Agreed. You can't fail. Can't fail.
Nope.
All right. Another question?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know how we're doing on time because I didn't leave it up. Okay, if we can be reasonable time and do these last two, hopefully, if we don't get lost on tangents. Maybe not.
Us not get lost on tangents? What's this not get lost you speak of?
I know. It's what we do. We're tangent people.
I can't even get through reading a question without tangenting.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
My marriage is peaceful and my husband and I love one another. However, it feels more like a friendship than a marriage. Boy, lots of people would love to have a marriage that feels like a friendship, even if it was just a friendship, as opposed to a battleground.
Though
anyway,
how I interpret that is they're like roommates more than anything. That's
how I interpret
that's not
it too.
said, but that's just what I interpret.
I just threw out a little counter blessings. But, continuing on. I want to be in physical union with my twin, but also do not want to hurt anyone, uproot my life and my kids' lives. My twin has been ready to be together in 3D for a long time. What insight or advice can you provide regarding this situation? I wonder if I'm supposed to just continue going about life as I am and let divine timing push my twin and I together, if that's what is meant to be. I know each scenario is different, but I wonder how much of union is free will and how much is divine timing. Also, I had a feeling for a few weeks that his spouse might come across our connection. Sorry. Yes. But didn't mention such or do any action towards preventing such. Any insight as to why that may be? First of all, am I supposed to just continue going about life as I am and let divine timing push my twin and I together? In our example,
I was hoping you'd go with our example.
in our example, I'd always felt like wanting to maintain just a friendship connection with Angie. I missed her when she wasn't in my life, but I'd never had any thoughts that we would actually get back together and be living together and get married. All that was just too far out there. But it took the right moment with the right knowledge to open up a door that says, okay, now you have a choice. Take it or run away from it. And it was very obvious to me that I needed to take the choice and make the step towards having a relationship. Now, of course, I still planned it to go very slowly, and it actually went blindingly fast.
Yes.
To the point of being so fast that it was I could have actually used some better three-dimensional judgment on it. But you give something an opportunity, and sometimes it just all of a sudden, like a magnet, just boom. The attraction and opportunities are there, and it just all happens. You don't have to wait 6 months or a year of testing and working on it. And is this theory right? Is that theory right? Sometimes divine timing just opens that door, and you breathe a couple of times and you step through it. And it's easy to say and hard to get the courage to do so. But most people, when that opportunity is right in front of them, the courage comes along and you just do it, and you deal with the ramifications after the fact. And sometimes the theory of things are only half as bad as they seem kicks into effect. And other times,
things are worse than half as bad.
Other times, you step in front of a steamroller and get steamrolled and say, well, I kind of signed up for that one now, didn't I?
I'm only laughing because that was our journey.
Yeah.
It was hell.
Many, many, many times I've been very correct with things are only ever half as bad as they seem. This time it was full flavor, full force. Got 100% plus of what I bargained for.
Now, I'm surprised that out of all of that sharing, you didn't add the piece about... So we were in similar situations, but not fully. Like these two, they're both still with other people. They're both still married to other people by the sounds of it. Because even if she's saying he's ready to be in union, but yet if his spouse hasn't found out, well, clearly that means he's still with her, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So two things. First of all, our journey was that we were both with other people. My relationship was already broken down. We weren't even in a relationship per se anymore.
But we both still didn't want to hurt anyone either.
Right.
You're not here to hurt. You're here to heal and to help.
Right. And you don't want to create more karma, right? You want to clear the karma, not create more. So we were in that same boat of, should we just like let everything be and it'll just fall into place, right? Like we don't need to rock any boats. We don't need to affect anybody or hurt anybody or the children that she talks about, like affect anything. We ended up doing all of that only because there wasn't any divine timing coming together. There wasn't any just nice, easy opening. Rob finally one night had to just go boom.
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 Oh, that hurts. That so hurts.
He literally just one night flat out told her, we're done. Didn't say anything about me.
And out of the out of the blue.
Yes.
Yeah. My other person was caught completely off guard.
Yes.
Like just shattered by a sentence. One sentence spoken from happy to destroyed.
So the point, though, of telling that story is we felt so strongly that it was time for us to be together. And it wasn't just our desire. It was the universe going, it's time. You got to do this. To the point that we were ready. We were willing to shatter our relationships if that's what it took. Even though we're both very kind, caring, gentle people. We're not the kind of people that want to go hurt other people's feelings or damage other people. But the internal urge was so strong that that's what we had to do.
And for me, it wasn't that I was going to blow up one relationship and step right into another knowing that it was going to work.
No.
I blew up my previous relationship for the opportunity to try and see whether or not
Yes.
Angie and I could get together.
We'd never even lived together before. We had no idea if we were even compatible.
I was facing the thought of blowing up a relationship one week and the next week going, wow, that was a mistake. That was part of my possibilities.
Yeah. So the point is, when the urge inside of you is so strong that you can't resist it, that's when you know it's time. When you're willing to destroy everything, even if it means hurting your spouse that you have a good friendship with, even if it means damaging your children per se. And you'll get that push because, and this is what we understood later in our journey, that's the way it needed to be for both of our people. We weren't married to them, but our relationships, because it was actually part of the karma that they needed to experience in order for them to heal and grow. Here we were trying so hard not to hurt them, but that's what they needed. That's part of what we agreed on in soul form, was for them to get hurt so that they could heal bigger, deeper wounds that were underlying in their own connections with themselves and our connections with them. So you'll know in your own journey when it's time, whether it's the universe pushing you or it's your own inner calling saying it's now. I mean, I kept getting signs saying it's time, it's time, it's time. I mean, everything was in me was pushing me to do this, even though I didn't want to. I was fighting it every step of the way. And it gets to the point where you just can't fight it. So even I want to address your twin. If he's ready to be with you, but he's still in another relationship and he hasn't left that, is he really ready? That's just a question.
It's one thing to think you're ready. It's another thing I'm going to come back to that word, courage, to have the courage to actually push the button.
Right.
You can sit there ready to go, but when go moment happens, can you twitch? And I'm not picking on you, but I'm going to change. I'm going to change your word. Destroy. I'd like to make
Yes,
to change.
destroy wasn't a good word.
I'd like to just put it to change because that's what it is. Well,
It's that you feel like you're going to destroy people, but when you understand that it's part of their...
a forest fire can burn down a pine tree, but the pine cones on the ground need the heat from the fire to start a new tree.
Rob's perfect analogies.
So, what is one's destruction is another's rebirth.
Yes.
So, it's a change.
Yes.
It's a change sometimes with consequences, a change with reactions, a change sometimes with pain, a change sometimes with lots of happiness. But it is very much a change. And in these situations, it's a change that you can only sometimes guess how it's really going to go. There's no real good, strong template for it. It's a change that you just roll with the punches.
Yes. And what we can tell you from our own journey and many others that we have experienced, it's not always nice and clean like we want it to be, where it's just nice and smooth and you happily break up with your current spouses and then you get together and everybody's happy and you're all singing Kumbaya. That's what we think it should be because we think, well, we're here to not create more karma. We're here to clear karma. We don't want to hurt anybody. But it doesn't often work that way. And it doesn't work that way because the others involved have their own lessons that they have agreed to learn, and you're part of helping them learn those.
And the kids learn too.
They do. Yep.
The kids are often the most resilient in all this.
Yes.
Because if a relationship has an opportunity to change, that means it's also had its own struggles. And the kids tend to be so intuitive. The adults think that they've got this nice collage of at least tolerable happiness around them. And the kids see right through that veil. Yeah. And they sense the stresses. They sense the distances.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when one or both end up more happy than when they started, the kids end up more happy than when this all started as well.
Yep. In fact, if, again, hopefully I'll remember, I'll link it above. We did a kind of interview with another twin flame couple, and they shared their journey in this video that we did with them. And they shared how, it wasn't so perfectly smooth for them either. It's often that there's other relationships involved. And there was other spouses, and there was children. And now everybody is happy, but there wasn't an easy transition in their situation either. So we can link that just to share and help you get another perspective on how this journey works. But just as a closing to this question, what I would say is, what I always say is, go within. Your answer is within. Yes, you can hear our story, you can hear other people's stories, and they help give you perspective. But always you must go and find your own guidance of what is right for you. And it might not be time. Only you can know that, right? When the push is so strong that you can't fight it, that's when you know it's time. When both of you are ready to leave your current relationships, but not for each other. That's the key. You got to be able to leave your relationships and know that if it for some reason didn't work out between you right now, that you've left your relationship because it was time to leave your relationship. If you're only wanting to leave your relationships for each other, I can tell you right now, then it's not the right time, because there's obviously, you're still in those relationships for a reason, for a purpose. When those relationships have run their course, it will start to unravel on its own.
Yes, that's actually very true.
Yeah. And ours were already unraveling before we even started coming together, before we even discovered what twin flames were.
Not everybody noticed the levels or styles of the unraveling, but the unraveling...
Oh, they were there for us.
The unravelings were happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, just always, always, always go with your own inner wisdom. It will not steer you wrong.
And sometimes it's a little better to stay focused on on your portion of the journey, because your twin, if they've also got a relationship that's got to come apart to make room for the new, for the change, they're going to be a lot focused and distracted in their direction too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I can't say that there's any easy path.
No.
No,
Yeah.
change is difficult.
Yeah.
It just is. Very seldomly does one person say, I want out, the other one says, oh boy, darn it, I forgot to ask first. Okay, great, let's do that. Let's get this all wound up. By 5:30 tonight, that'd be great. Seldom happens that way.
But it doesn't mean it's not worth it, and that there is reason behind it, even if it's not what everybody thinks they want in the moment.
And it's not about going backwards 2 steps to get 3 steps forward. It's all just forward.
Yeah.
Just sometimes difficult forward.
Yes. How are we doing on time? Okay, let's wrap up.
Wrap up or go one more question?
Oh, wrap up our last question is what I meant.
That's a bit of both. I won't ask for clarity. I'll just read the question.
Yeah. Don't bother with clarity. It's dangerous. When one doesn't have much sleep in them, there's.
See, I'm the one that didn't get the sleep last night. She's the one that scattered.
Welcome to the twin flame connection.
Well, there's a big word. Is there any chance of redemption if the divine masculine is aware of how much pain and hurt he's caused the divine feminine? Even if she forgives him unconditionally, won't he always feel that there may be a sense of imbalance? How does the couple overcome it? Now that's a pretty good question, especially if one believes that one is responsible for their own feelings. Does somebody make you unhappy? Does somebody make you imbalanced? If somebody's aware that they've caused pain, are they actually going to take responsibility for it and always look for the imbalance caused by the pain? Do you actually have to 100% forgive someone? Or do you actually need to 100% understand someone?
That's an interesting perspective.
To forgive, you must strongly believe that you've been wronged. And if you believe that you've been wronged, what that means is that you haven't experienced things the way that you're supposed to have experienced it, as opposed to taking your experience and understanding that it was the way that was supposed to play out.
Right.
That was a little bit deep. I think I missed a couple of steps in that path of stepping stones.
But your end point makes sense, because when you understand on this journey, everything is divine. There's nothing that is a mistake or an accident or not meant to happen. It's all divinely purposed, divinely guided. So if your twin has hurt you, but you're willing to forgive them unconditionally, and you're fearing, what if they can't get past it and they always feel the imbalance? Well, remember, you're connected. So if you can unconditionally forgive them, what's to say they can't learn to unconditionally forgive themselves once they get to that point where you are together? So once you're in union, there won't be that imbalance, because they will have healed enough to get to union. So they will have been able to look at their shadow side and look at, why did I treat her that way? Why did I treat whoever that way? Whether it's you as their twin or even somebody else, they'll be able to see the bigger picture and forgive themselves, because they can embrace the dark side, their unhealed side, their wounds that may be lashed out and caused those hurts and pains. So that's part of coming into union with self, right? Is learning to accept all of yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, the up, the down, the dark, the light.
Nobody gets up in the morning with the thought that they're just going to go out there and just be mean to someone.
Unless they're a sociopath.
But that's their journey.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
I use the word most. Okay.
I know.
Most is my one of my best catchphrases.
I was just being a brat. Carry
yes,
on.
you were. That's also fair because you're very correct with that. But if someone has hurt someone else, most of the time it's because they have run into a situation where they can't trust the situation that they're in. So in order to get out of the path of the fear that's created by the lack of trust, they do something to protect themselves, which tends to hurt someone else.
Right.
So if someone is continuously hurting someone else, it's because they can't trust that they aren't going to get hurt first. So they do the hurting first.
Total. And I can be the first one to speak up to that because I was the hurter. I mean, we both hurt each other in the journey. You always do, right? It's never one-sided. But I was quite mean to Rob back in our early days of connection. And it took a long time for me to forgive myself. It wasn't until, interestingly enough, that we've talked earlier in this video about being an empath, it wasn't until that I learned that I was highly sensitive and an empath that I was able to go, oh, that's why I did those actions. And then I was able to forgive myself because I learned that once I was overstimulated, I would push people away in a mean way to just get that energy away so I could like come back to my own center. And that's what your twin will eventually do, is come to their own aha moments of, oh, this is why I treated this person this way. This is why I acted out that way. Now that I know better, I can do better. So they will heal that within themselves, and then there won't be an imbalance between you.
I would rather go the route of learning how to trust a situation as opposed to learning how to forgive the past. You see, if the divine masculine in this case gets past the point of always hurting the divine feminine and has learned to trust that the divine feminine isn't going to hurt him, and then he doesn't have to hurt first to protect himself, and therefore hurt stops happening back and forth. Instead of needing to forgive, maybe the divine feminine needs to celebrate the thought that trust has been created. And through that celebration, as opposed to words like redemption and forgiveness, through celebration, then deeper levels of trust can happen, because then the divine feminine gets to celebrate what the masculine has learned and start to trust what the masculine has learned as well. So substituting celebration for redemption and forgiveness, some would call it healthier. I would just call it a happier response.
Very insightful. Yeah.
That's going to be a little bit of a reach for a lot of people, because redemption and what's that called? No, not rebuttal, but when you get back at somebody, like somebody gives you a slap across the back of the head, so you give them a good hard punch in the arm. What's that called?
I had the word and then it left.
Yeah.
See you
everybody else has the word. We don't.
Retribution?
Retribution.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah. There's a better one.
Yeah. Anyway. You know.
Yeah. Well,
retaliation.
There, that'll do.
Oh,
I think
that's not the word.
I think that's the word.
That's the one that was in my head.
Retaliation. Doesn't that go back to karma?
Oh.
Retaliation is an invitation to what some people would call bad karma, whether
it's creating more karma, that's for sure.
Whether you believe in the responsiveness of karma or not, versus celebration again, which is much more positive. It's really hard to pick on somebody who's celebrating a education that's brought forth a better result. How do you pick on somebody who's celebrating? Puts karma to rest now, doesn't it?
And that's a great way to end on celebration. That's a perfect word. I like it.
Now we get to celebrate the end of the video?
Well, no, we're celebrating Halloween.
Well, we're celebrating Halloween. Yes, we are.
And can we celebrate with our little...
I'm a little sad for the end of the video.
I'm sorry.
I'm ending. Aw. I would keep going till my throat died, to be honest, but I have to be respectful.
It's already been an hour, over an hour. I think it's time to
wind it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we will be back with another video some other time, but not dressed as Infinite Love. And in closing, though, I would also like to say thank you to Rob. He wasn't overly keen on being decorated, and he participated. Thank you.
You're welcome. I dressed up last year for Halloween, and I thought, whew, there it is. It's all over. I think we call this a trend. 364 days before this happens to me again.
Don't worry, I'll come up with something else fun next year. Last year we were infinity. This year
yin and yang.
Yin and yang, that's right. This year we're infinite love.
Infinite love. Next year I have no idea.
That's right. So we will say goodnight from Infinite Love and sending you infinite love.
And happy Halloween.
And happy Halloween. To infinity and beyond.
And beyond. Yay.
Yay. Good night, guys. We love you.
Love you,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.